things, our next deck tech, we did have a suggestion for blue-white flyers. I really like that idea, and I still want to do mono-black aggro like a lot. Alright. Let's check these comments. Let's see. Thopters! Blue-red artifacts. Blue-red artifacts. Thopters. Thopters! Don't be down, Dev. Oh, hey, Em, it's just you. Yeah, it's like, I'm not trying to get, like, down or anything. It's just that everybody wants blue-red Thopters, or artifact aggro, or whatever, and it's like, Black Devotion looks so good, Black aggro looks so fun, you know? Everybody liked elves. Whatever, a lot of people are mad at me because it didn't have collected company in it. Well... What? I mean, you know, probably should have had collected company. You know what? I don't have to listen to you. You're not even going to be here in 3 months. Well, hey, guy. Ouch. You don't know that. You don't know that. Yeah, whatever. Always trying to holler at me when I want to top deck a shaman. I know you. Hey, you have a problem with blue-red artifacts or something? Oh, hey, no. I don't have a problem with it or anything. I'm more excited about other stuff. Right now, people need you to do what you do best. People need budget decks. You're right. But wait, what? Why are you even the representative for blue-red artifacts? Like, this deck has like 2 options better than you at 4-drop. Why are you're not even in the thing? But don't I remind you a little bit of Ariel from Little Mermaid? What? Oh, I see now. Oh, you've got doodads and what's-its galore. That's adorable. Wait, whoa, hey, don't try to exploit my love of classic hand-drawn animation. You stay in limited where you belong. I want to be where the people are. That is adorable. You know what? You're in.
Feel like something in my soul is just raising. I got a bounce in my step and I'm hanging up. New persona, I'm hotter than Arizona. My aura corona, and I'll be sicker than pneumonia.
What's up, my wizards? It's Dev from the place down there. We like magics. We've got, obviously, I think you know by now, blue-red Thopters, blue-red artifact, aggro thing, Agrifax, a guy called it. Good call on that one. Yeah, really interesting deck today. We've been wanting a nice budget deck, and I think this definitely fulfills those requirements. Let's go ahead and do it! Well, it just wouldn't be this deck without Ornithopter. You know, 3 copies of Ornithopter, and this isn't just there. It does stuff for us. It helps us swing with Bonded Construct on just the 2nd turn. It gets bonuses from the Chief, gets bonuses from Insoul Artifact. We are running that, and from Warhorn. So this can swing for 2, 3, sometimes even 5 or 6 if you've Insouled it. So do like it. It does more than just sit there and be a 0/2 flyer. And it also does that if we need it to block or whatever, you know. So I do think Ornithopter gets a spot. I'm pretty sure. There's 2 copies in this of Hangerback Walker. It works a little better than I thought it would. In longer games or stall situations and things like that, which we do enter a lot of, we've got a lot of blockers and stuff. This provides a decent amount of value for us, and especially if we can get it to pop, very good. And if we can't get it to pop, it'll still be a 4/5/5, you know, eventually. So I do like the Walker. You get some value out of it eventually, and your opponent really doesn't want to kill it if it gets big enough. I mean, there's turns where nothing happens, just okay, EOT, put a counter on it, you know, and it works out in the long run, if there is a long run. Against other aggro, it will block, sometimes it'll trade, and you'll get flyer or flyers, even better, out of it, and that's always good. The card's fine, it turns out. 4 copies of Bonded Construct. You know, you'd see this guy, our Savannah Lions, isn't he cute? Really just want to play Bonded Construct, man. I mean, can you blame me? I don't have to talk too much about this. I mean, 1 mana, 2/1, good card. Always been a good card. We're playing 3 Phyrexian Revoker in this. This we can name Elvish Mystic, which is actually a big thing if we're on the play and we drop it turn 2. We can name Fleecemane Lion Stormbreath, because monstrous. We can name Perilous Vault, that's probably a thing. Planeswalkers, that's definitely a thing. So while there's not very many targets for this to hit, there are some important targets in the standard format for it to hit. And 2 mana of any color for a 2-power guy is probably fine, even without all that. So, I mean, utility, super utility. I like the creature, let's play him. 4 Chief of the Foundry because, you know, he's probably the most important card to play, like, in the entire deck, honestly. Gotta play him, let's play him. 4 copies of the Chief. 3 copies of Thopter Engineer. I'd really like to play a 4 of. Don't really have the space, really, for what I'm trying to do here. We are running a bit high on 3 drops, though, so it's not so bad that we're only playing 3 of this guy, but just provides value for us. We get a Thopter out of him, and he helps us out, gives us abilities and such. And abilities are especially ace. That's pretty awesome. So definitely want to play this guy. 3 copies of Whirler Rogue. I also wanted this to be a 4 of, but again, really pushing the 4 drops. It's way too many 4 drops in this deck. We get a lot of value out of this card, more so when it enters the battlefield than anything else in the deck. Really, really want to play Whirler Rogue a lot, and so I have. And we're playing 2 Reclusive Artificer. She made it, right? Ariel's in this deck, and she's actually, it turns out, she is pretty good. In testing, she will normally hit for a 2 or 3. There are situations where she can hit for 4 on the 4th turn. Very few and far between. They involve getting an Ornithopter and a Bonded Construct, plus the Chief of the Foundry. I mean, there's a lot of stuff has to go right for you. I do think the card is more than fine, and it's one of the only removal elements that we have in the entire deck. Very, very important. I think that we play at least 1 copy of this card, but I want to see it more than a little bit, so I'm playing the 2 copies.
Feel the keys, man. Yeah.
On to the spells, we've got 4 copies of Insole Artifact here. Pretty important, I think, that we play this. Not only can we hit Ornithopter, we can hit Bonded Construct. That's pretty cool. 2nd turn, we can do that. We still have to have the Ornithopter to swing, I believe. But in any case, we can also do Darksteel Citadels in this deck. Thopters, we can make 5/5s. So a lot of stuff you can do with this. And 5/5 flyers, pretty good. Or 5/5s, pretty good. 5/5's good, I would say. 3 copies of Warhorn, an absolutely essential artifact. Don't really want to play the 4 copies, and some people might even be on board with 2, but we're an aggro deck, and we really aren't as aggro. We don't create the same presence, and we don't have the same initiative as a lot of other aggro decks in the format. Even though we do curve very well, we're just not getting the same results out of our 2 and 3 drops as other aggro decks are. We're not making the most out of our turns, like those decks are, definitely. So this helps a lot. Once we drop it 3rd, 4th turn, we can really start swinging for actual damage, you know, at that point. Helps Thopters do more damage. That's very important because we are generating a fair amount of Thopters. So I do want to play the Warhorn. Going on too long about this, I think it's an auto-include. 3 copies of Thopter Spy Network. Another thing I'd like to play 4 copies of, but again, we're pushing the 4 drops like way too much. And this is probably the most important card that we play in the entire deck, I think. Really, after the 4th turn, allows us to not just go into top deck mode like other aggro decks, you know. We get to draw cards, and we get to, you know, generate value every single turn. So if we can get to this and start getting value out of it, it becomes very good, especially in multiples, which is why I'd like to play 4 copies. I just don't think it's realistic. 2 copies of Girapur Aether Grid. Yeah, Aether Grid. We'll go with that. This is the only other real form of removal in the entire deck, and this is another thing that helps us go long. That's important against some of the decks in this format. We can kill Manifests fairly easily off of this. Goblins, elves, soldiers, what have you. Once we get 4 artifacts into play, which isn't really that hard, we can definitely just start picking things off easy. And those turns where nothing really happens, this card is awesome in those turns, you know. But in any case, I do like Aether Grid more than I thought, but I don't want to play too many copies because it's bad in multiples. It's just dead in multiples. So I like to see it, but I don't want to get like a ton of copies of it in every game. And we don't necessarily have to see it. You know, we can win without it, although it is good in a lot of situations. So I'm just going to play the 2 of here. On to the lands here. Shivan Reef and the Temple of Epiphany are probably the most money cards in the deck. You don't have to play multicolored lands, but I really, 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 really recommend it. It's already not always tough. It's not necessarily inconsistent in its production of mana, but we are fairly blue intensive on a couple of our cards. We have to be reliable in our production of blue mana, and we need at least the 1 red. So basically it breaks down into 12 blue sources, 9 red sources. I'd really like to play at least 1 more source of each color, but I'd also like to play all of these lands. I'd really like to play 4 foundries. That thing is crazy. It really helps us recover from mass removal. It's also good in the turns where nothing happens. It blocks dragons for 2 turns, except for Atarka. It's just done a lot for us, man, and it's almost like a 5-drop, you know? I do like that card. But anyway, that's the lands, and I think they're flexible, too. And I might even want to play more of the Mage Ring, man. The Mage Ring is really good. It helps us get to our higher value, our higher CMC cards, which we're playing an awful lot of for aggro. So I'm a fan of the Mage Ring. Here's our board. Really a lot of flexibility in this board, to be honest. There's a lot of things you can do with it. I've chosen to play this precise board against other aggro decks, and in some ways against control you through the negate, even the psychic rebuttal. Another copy of Aether Grid against, you know, mid-rangey slight kind of decks that like to go long. Hangerback Walkers against all kinds of things, especially mid-rangey decks that like to take the game long, and even other aggro a lot of the times. And you see everything else there is pretty much to take care of other aggro decks, because we have a problem against other aggro a lot of the times. We just don't generate the initiative that they do. So the board here is pretty flexible. We can do a lot of things with it. Let me know what you would include here. And in the main deck for that matter. Let me go ahead and throw up the power rankings here. I'll get to those in just a second, but let me say that I could have made a mid-range deck. A mid-range deck exists that plays like Renowned Weaponsmith and Chief Engineer and ramps into, say, Soul of New Phyrexia and Scuttling Doom Engine and big cards like that. I think that deck is really, really interesting too, and let me know how you feel about that. I think that there's probably some support for that deck in Magic Origins, and I really like the idea of that mid-range deck. One thing I will say here in the power rankings is, first of all, a lot of our creatures are immune to Ultimate Price, so that's pretty cool. Ultimate Prices play a lot of different things. We're not obviously a very powerful deck in that we don't play a lot of powerful cards. We're a little bit more resistant or resilient than other aggro decks in that we survive board wipes fairly fine. Now, a lot of our creatures may die, don't get me wrong, but we do have Foundries in there to help against that. Darksteel Citadel with an Ensoul artifact on it is a thing. If we've got a Thopter Spy Network out, all we have to do is play one artifact and we can recover. So there are definitely ways that we can recover from or have insurance against board wipes. That's kind of cool, honestly. We have a lot of offense, but not as much as some aggro decks, and we're fairly low on the defense in that we don't have that much removal, like at all, which kind of sucks. I did play Lightning Strikes in this deck, but there's just so many synergetic things I wanted to do that I took out the strikes. Stoke the Flames could also be played in this deck because we are generating Thopters, so there is that. But ultimately, I didn't know if I had the space either for Stoke the Flames. There probably is space in here if you eliminate a couple of the cards. Maybe you'd want to play Stoke over Garrep or Aether Grid. I could understand that. But Aether Grid is more of a long game thing. And we're fairly consistent because we're playing a lot of, 3 and 4 of a lot of our cards. So we usually do what we're trying to do, and we have enough things in every area of the curve who are usually going to be doing something on turn 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is that as long as we get our drops. And we are playing like 1 more land, 2 more lands even than some aggro decks to make sure we get those drops. I'm pretty sure that is everything for Artifact Aggro. Let me know what you think down there in the comments. If you did like the content, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all of those things. And we'll see you guys next time. Not sure what I'm doing next, but it's probably Sidisi Zoo, Sultai Zoo. Got a lot of response for that. See you guys with that next time. I'm Dev from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.